This week on Married to Medicine.
Stop. You are big enough to walk in there and say you're sorry because that's who you are. And that's what you are made of, Jackie. You can say you're sorry.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be recapping the new episode of Married to Medicine, Season 12, Episode 9. Let's get right into this. Alright, so the episode begins with Heavenly unexpectedly showing up to the girls' weekend. She was invited, but everyone thought she wasn't coming, but she's here. Everyone's taken aback, especially Simone. So here comes Heavenly's translator, Dr. Jackie, and she says to Simone, "Hear me. I want you and Heavenly to hear each other to find out the why. I haven't spoken to her. I want to hear it." Oh, Jackie. The reason this bothers me is because if any being on the planet were to do half of the stuff that Heavenly does to others to Jackie, Jackie would never even look at that person's direction ever again. She'd be done with them. They would be dead to her, which is okay, but it's not okay to ask others to do what you wouldn't do. Contessa goes to say hi to Heavenly, and Heavenly's talking about where's my room, but Contessa says, I thought you weren't coming, you didn't answer. And then Heavenly has all these different explanations. One of them is that it was her husband's birthday. The other one is that there was a lot that happened at Angel's party. And then the third one that we actually heard from Simone last night was that Heavenly was saying she was scared of Simone. So which one is it? Anyway, it turns out she's going to be sharing rooms with Quad. In her confessional, Heavenly says that the reason she came to the trip was because Quad had been texting her all the things that were being said and talked about her the night before. So Contessa says to all of them, we're going to have dinner soon, and I think we're going to have a big conversation at dinner. But it's about an hour until that happens, so everyone can kind of go, relax a little bit before they have to get ready for dinner. So we see Heavenly and Quad in their room, and Quad tells her about last night and the conversations that the group had. She then asks Heavenly, she says, let me ask you, did she push you, Simone? Because I asked her last night and she said no. So then Heavenly reenacts what she says happened. And it was totally not the way it happened. Thankfully we have cameras and they caught the real moment. Heavenly completely is exaggerating it. She was not pushed. And Quad says, well, last night she said that she didn't push you. Which also, not for nothing, obviously, no one should be pushing anyone. And to be clear, Simone did not push Heavenly. But let's say that she did. Obviously, she shouldn't have. But that's not like the worst thing ever. Out of all the things we've seen on the show, even if that were to be true, is it really to the point where it's like, oh, I feel unsafe coming around her, Heavenly? Really? Anyway, we also see Toya and Simone in another room talking about it, and they're not happy that Heavenly is here, and they cannot believe that she is staying in the house also. Simone is just over it, and Toya says, well, my husband told me that is why she's the perfect person for the candidacy, because she lies. They also then show us some small clips of the children and the husbands back at home, back in Atlanta. So that was nice, seeing those nice little clips. Then we get an actual scene with Cecile, Miles, and Michael. Cecile sits them down and says to them, honestly, your mom and I have been arguing more than usual lately because she's tired. She feels like she's spending lots of money and is not being appreciated by us. She doesn't want to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars for you guys, and then we won't have any money for us to retire. Y'all get that, right? Y'all are 75 to 80% of the reasons we argue. But then the three of them began to sort of laugh at some point about it. And I was like, what? And then Cecile says, I'm hungry, I want to go eat. That's how serious they're taking it. I was like, what? I thought, based on how he began the conversation, I really thought that was going to be the moment where he was going to put his foot down and was going to reprimand them. No, it wasn't that. He literally just said, oh, y'all's mom and I are fighting. she's spending too much money. All right, anyway, what y'all want for dinner? Wow. Wow. Okay, so back with the ladies. Mimi calls her husband. She wants to know how it's going. He says that it's been okay. There has been some issues today with their son, but it's okay for the most part. They were explaining in their confessional that their son does better when he's got like a routine. So when his mom's not there, it kind of messes things up for him. But he's a great dad, and they are great parents. I'll give him that. She tells him about swimming with the dolphins as well. So then all the ladies come down for dinner. A chef came to the house, and that chef was so hyped. He was like all about his food that he was serving. The food looked good though, I will say that. But there's tension. The tension was insane. Quad wants them to say a prayer before they eat. So she says, who want to say grace? Simone, will you say grace? And Simone says, no. I know that's right. I love Simone because she's not going to do the fakery. She's like, no. But Toya says that she'll do it. So she gives a short and sweet prayer. And, they're enjoying their food. And then Contessa addresses the issue. She says to Heavenly, so what happened? Why didn't you come with us on the plane? And Heavenly says, well, I just needed to clear my headspace. Contessa says, oh, so it wasn't about you not wanting to be in the same plane with Simone? Simone says, yes, because I expressed to the group that you said you didn't feel safe around me. Heavenly said, I said I wasn't coming because you were very aggressive and unhinged. A lot happened and you pushed me. Simone says, I did not. And Heavenly says, yes, you did. I was touched. And Simone says, no, you put your hand around me and I took it off. And then Heavenly is such a liar because she, again, is exaggerating so much, telling the ladies what supposedly happened when it didn't. Even to the point where now she's adding things that Simone didn't even say out of her mouth. Like she says, and you told me, get your mother effing hands off of me, bitch. Which that's simply not true. Simone did not say all of that. And again, we know this because it's on camera. Simone said to her, get your hand off of me. I'm not going to take this fake ass picture. But Heavenly's sticking to her story and is still labeling Simone as aggressive and unhinged. So Simone's spirit is like disturbed. She says that she doesn't feel comfortable, which Heavenly says, good. So Simone gets up. Jackie grabs her and says, Simone, please, for 1 minute, just listen. And Simone says she is a lying, low-down, dirty bitch. But Jackie's still saying, stay. If I were Simone, I would have said it. Y'all stay, but if you have my back, and shut her up. So Simone does end up walking away. Back at the table, Heavenly says, well, that's what happened. So Toya asks, why are you ruining her as a physician, though? Making it seem like she's aggressive. Heavenly says, because she was aggressive. Toya says, but so are you. You're also aggressive. Then here comes Mimi. Toya, I told you not to interject. Excuse me, who are you? First of all, you're new. Why can't Toya bring up a very valid point? But Toya's calm, and she says to Heavenly, my only question is, if you have an issue with Simone, if you say she's not your friend, why would you put your hand on her, around her in the first place? And Heavenly says, no, I didn't. That's not what happened. Toya says, oh, wow, so she just randomly pushed you? And then Mimi says, that's not fair, Toya. They were both asked to take a picture. I was like, okay, Mimi, now who's interjecting? So then Mimi grabs Heavenly and takes her outside, along with Contessa and Brandi. And Mimi says, let's hear Heavenly's side. So Heavenly says the situation was a lot, but Brandi does say to Heavenly, do you understand now the implication of using certain words like hostile? And Heavenly says, well, she was hostile. Back inside, Simone says to the other women inside, I understand I need to give grace like God gives me every day, but I'm not ready. Jackie says, Heavenly needs to hear the heart of Simone right now. And Simone says, no, she didn't come wanting it, and she's not getting it. So then Quad and the other someone else said to Jackie, go tell Heavenly. And then Angel's like, don't do it, Jackie. She's not going to receive it well right now. Jackie didn't pay her no mind because she didn't even respond. She just got up and went after Heavenly outside. So Jackie sits and says to Heavenly, what I need you to hear is that I have two great friends that I love. She's hurting right now. are you willing to go inside and just say, I hurt you, without saying you hurt me too? Heavenly says, I'll do it, fine. But you know what? Everybody keeps saying that she's going through so much, and I'm going through so much too. And then Jackie says, there's a divine transformation that is taking place. You need to walk in and stop. You're big enough to walk in there and say, I'm sorry. You can say you're sorry and mean it from your heart. But when Jackie says to her, I do understand your pain of what you're going through right now. I can't imagine the pain you have right now, not knowing where your child is. Heavenly does lose it, and she cries, and it was sad, because it was real. That was real emotion right there. And the ladies did rally around her, so that was nice that they comforted her in that moment. But they think that, as far as Heavenly and Simone, they should wait for that till tomorrow. In the meantime, Contessa wants to play a game. Listen, Contessa's going to make sure that the activities get done. People are crying, distraught, angered, but Contessa's like, we gonna play the game I've got planned for y'all. So she brings out a whole bunch of balloons, and the game is called Petty Pop. So each of the women gets a whole bunch of balloons, and there's a stack of cards. Each woman will get a card and read one. Each card has like a scenario, kind of like a who's most likely to type of thing. And when you read the card, you have to go and pop the balloon of the person who you think does this. So, for example, Jackie's card said, who is always checking the energy of the group but never checks her own energy. So she goes and pops Toya's balloon, and she popped that with passion. That was aggressive, an aggressive pop. So they go around doing that, reading the questions, popping each other's balloons. Some were shady, some were funny, mostly shady, but they were all laughing. So that was it for the night. It is now the next morning, and the ladies are waking up. We hear Toya and Eugene sort of sexting through the good for them. But listen, Contessa is taking this role as host extremely seriously. Like she got an iPad, and she was going room to room asking everyone, how are you feeling? What would you like me to do? What changes would you like to better your experience? So she was really taking it seriously. So everybody goes downstairs to have breakfast. The breakfast looked good. They're having some morning cocktails as well. Now, Mimi, she's becoming annoying. She is taking it upon herself to count Toya's drinks and making little comments about how much she's drinking. Who wants to party with her? So they're all by the pool, and then Contessa says, I want to give Heavenly the floor. But she needs to be able to speak uninterrupted, and once she's completely finished, people can ask the questions, but just let her talk. So Heavenly goes on. She's calm. She says, I'm running a campaign that I'm taking very seriously. I thought that my campaign launch went great. I was feeling good. So then we have Angel's event. And the first thing that Simone comes at me with is that she's got a list of things that I did wrong at my launch. And knowing that Toya's the one that wrote the list, I knew it was just negative because Toya's negative. We were then going to take a picture towards the end, and Simone told me not to touch her, so I removed myself from the group after that. I didn't want to come on this trip, and I knew that the way I needed to remove myself was to say that the situation was toxic and that Simone was unhinged. Toya then wants to ask something, but everyone comes at her saying, no, she's not done. And Toya says, stop, egging it on like this bitch is not done. So Angel says, don't do that, Toya, don't do that. Heavenly then leaves because she says that the energy isn't right. And Toya says, yeah, you did the energy. So then Mimi goes after Heavenly and says, Toya's trying to remove you from this space. Don't let her. Let's practice strength. So Heavenly does come back. Contessa's like, well, everyone needs to have the chance to speak. So let's give Toya some time to speak. So Toya says to Heavenly, there's no way you could have thought we were okay. Because every time we've gone together, you always bring up my husband, you're yelling at me, you're bringing up text messages. So then Mimi interjects and she says, I'm sorry, no, but we are going on a tangent. So at that point, Toya and Mimi are kind of going at it. So Heavenly takes the opportunity, as these two are going at it, to go talk to Simone. And so they're able to talk calmly, and Simone explains why it hurt her that Heavenly, out of everyone, was the one saying that about her. calling her unhinged and hostile and all this. Like, these are just character assassinations. These are serious. So Heavenly then says, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I do consider you a friend. That was not my intention. So Simone's like, okay. And that was the end of the episode. Whew. Okay, this episode was okay. I feel like we're in the same cycle over and over again. Heavenly insults somebody. Heavenly and then that somebody are having it out. They're fighting. Jackie then interjects, trying to get the other person to forgive Heavenly. She scolds Heavenly, quote unquote, for the cameras. Heavenly then goes with her sweet voice and says, I'm sorry. And then it happens over and over again. So I'm kind of over it, but it's whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But you guys, let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. What about the situation that happened? Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.